yeah, live.
Okay, right. So welcome everybody to our session today, I'm got great pleasure to introduce shortly to you Sophia, who is who's going to tell you something about her IELTS experience, her IELTS journey, and the exam she took, and also share with us her results. Before we start, for those of you that don't know me, I'll just say a couple of words. My name's Berni. I'm an IELTS trainer, and I work particularly with students who need Band 7 and 8, and often 7 and 8 in each part of the test. So that's the work that I do. I also work a lot with students who've taken the exam quite a few times, and then help them find out why they're not getting the results and work on the areas that they need. So that's the work I do. As if any of you are doing Band 7 and 8 or need Band 7 and 8, you'll know that that's quite a hard task, but it's not impossible, and I hope that the interview that we have today will show you that it's not impossible and help you to understand some of the things that you can do to make sure that you get those results. How the session's going to work is I'm going to introduce Sophia, and then I will ask her some questions, and she's going to answer those and give you a lot of information about how she managed to get the high score that she got, and I hope that that will be useful. We haven't got a Q&A session planned for today, but please feel free to ask any questions in the chat box underneath the YouTube video, and then we will answer those as and when they come in. So please comment or put questions there. So first of all, I want to introduce Sophia to you. Sophia is from Germany. She is a doctor. I first met her probably last autumn, and when she signed up to my IELTS step-by-step program, online program. And then we had quite a few conversations via email, and then eventually I was very lucky to meet her in January when she came to do an intensive face-to-face course here in the UK with me. So I think we'll just get on with the questions, because I'm sure you're dying to hear what she has to say. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you, Sophia, for agreeing to do this.
Oh no, it's all my pleasure. Thank you.
And I'm sure that this will be of great use to everybody that's listening here today. So firstly, can you tell us something about your awesome IELTS results?
Oh yes, certainly I can. So in April I've taken the test, the IELTS test, and I've got an overall score of 7.5. In particular, that means I've got 8.5 in listening, 7.5 in reading, 7 in writing, and 7.5 in speaking. I needed 7.5 as an overall score, so which I reached, and it was said that I need a minimal score of 7.5 in speaking and listening, and 7 in reading and writing. So I passed the test successfully.
Okay, so that was a very high score that you had to attain.
Yes.
And it was to go and work as a doctor in New Zealand, I believe.
That is true. So, and actually I'm on the way to apply for everything needed to immigrate to New Zealand as soon as possible.
Okay, so can you share a little bit about your IELTS journey right from the beginning?
Oh, right from the beginning. So I would say I took my first test 10 years ago. So this time it was the 14th attempt, the 14th successful attempt. So at the very beginning I just learned with the support of books. Online courses weren't that available, and unfortunately there was not a proper IELTS teacher here in my hometown, so I just learned English as a language at at first hand. Then I had a gap of a couple of years because I started working in my own practice, which I've sold a couple of months ago for immigration reasons. And then I would say I focused more on my strengths as well as on my limitations and worked with you and your students for the last, I would say, 6 months. Right.
And that's quite a long journey over 10 years. I know it wasn't intensively IELTS all the time, but what helped you to keep focused on your IELTS goal for that length of time?
Yeah, what should I say? It was my dream, or it was our dream as a family to hold in our hands the opportunity to immigrate to an English-speaking country, especially to New Zealand. That was my dream. On the other hand, what would happen without the IELTS result at the end? I would continue my life as a doctor here in Germany. My children would grow up in an ordinary way. So, and there were no challenge available for us, and therefore that was what give me or us the strength to continue with the preparation for the IELTS test, because otherwise nothing would happen, not for the best, not for the worst. So it was your specific techniques to be supported or to give support on the one hand. On the other hand, it's the eternal dream to immigrate.
And that was your whole family that was behind that dream?
Yes. I have 2 children and a husband, so we all will immigrate to New Zealand.
Okay, and so you mentioned that you'd taken it quite a lot of times.
Yes.
And what then made you start to look for more specific support to get the result that you wanted?
I would say a year ago I was a little bit desperate by thinking about the IELTS test and what should I do more, what should I do else. So I've had some lessons with English teachers. I've passed some online courses, and I have all the books you need for the IELTS test. But I knew that I'm not over the top of my desperation to take the test successfully. Well, then one night I found your web site and your blog site as well, and you were the only one and the first one who focused on students needed a high score. And a high academic score mainly, and that was new for me. And you discussed in your blog with a student, with the doctor as well, and you were very specific about what he was doing right and wrong, and that gave me new hope. So I'm getting part of your online course step by step, and then we kept in touch, first via Skype and then in face-to-face, and that was a kind of a construction. So I climbed higher and higher to be more confident about my score, and so that I can take the test. I could take the test in April. So it was a development from the ground to the top of the hill. Yeah.
And what do you think might have happened if you hadn't changed the way that you were preparing?
Nothing. Nothing would happen. So I'm sure that I would try several times to pass the test, but without the confidence or the belief in me, I'm quite sure that I wouldn't pass the test successfully. And nothing would happen. So I would continue with my ordinary life in Germany. What else should I do? Yeah, and I think I think I would be quite frustrated and depressed, perhaps, because nothing would happen without trying to have the right result.
Right. So nothing changes if you don't change the way you do things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you share with us how you feel now?
Great, thrilled, awesome, powerful. So everything is good because directly after getting the result, I knew, and especially my family as well, we knew that now the next step will come for the process for immigration, and I had to call different supporters for the medical council in New Zealand, for the immigration process as well, and they all were very proud of me having passed the test. So they talked to me in a different way compared to the way they talked to me before the test. They were saying, first of all, you have to pass the test, and then we will see. It wouldn't be a problem, but first of all, you have to pass the test. Now I've passed it, and now they were full of energy to help me to gain my final goal. So and yeah, I feel great. So it's quite valuable and worthwhile to try it and to be successful at the end. So
and to get that feeling. So that's interesting that everybody's so much more positive now that you've got the result. Yeah. So can you tell us something about the preparation that you did or your IELTS journey from January?
Right. The last few months. As I mentioned, so I was part of your online course, step by step. I continued with writing. Before I came to your place, I sent you some writing, some essays, and you corrected it to me. So I had a first impression what was wrong with my essay. Then we often talk about my listening part. So I know you had a brilliant how to say chapter on your website for listening for the listening, and it's quite difficult to pass and to it's not that easy, but after it, when you listen to the IELTS listening part, that part is very easy when you overcome to your listening exercises. Right. Then I came to your place and gave me the opportunity to be with you a whole week and just to focus on the IELTS exam, which is a brilliant opportunity to have a whole week for preparation. On the other hand, you introduced me to some of your students, and we Skyped on a regular basis and give support to each other mentally and by practicing the IELTS, the speaking part. So, right, I would say the two main conditions: having the opportunity being with you, and the Skype student group gave me the biggest support this time over the last 6 months. Right.
Mm-hmm. And how was your preparation different during this time from before?
I was more aware on my strengths as well as on my weaknesses. So it was not a giant chunk of impossible things. So I could focus on what is needed for me, especially for me. So I focus on the listening part. From the very beginning, it was not very difficult for me to pass the reading section, so I didn't focus on that one because it was definitely a strength. The speaking test, I knew that speaking with you was not a problem. Everything was about my inner excitement, being in the exam and being I wasn't very well by handling my excitement. So this was different because I focused on the listening, the writing, a bit on my nerves in speaking, and that's it. So that I could more separate it in middle-size chunks and not in a giant impossible challenge. So that was quite different. Yeah.
And what were the main turning points in your preparation that showed you that you actually were going to get this score?
Honestly, I remember well an evening we sat in your kitchen and we talked about the examiners in combination with the whole test, and you told a lot about other students with similar difficulties, and at one point we looked at each other and smiled, and I think that was the main turning point, that I was aware that you believe in me, so I can believe in me as well. And from that point on, I know my path to complete the preparation. That was quite amazing because it was not like a loud and noisy turning point. It was more silent, and I knew it more in the retrospective more than in the prospective, but it worked. So it obviously worked, and from that point on, I was more focused on what to do and what to neglect, and well, and I focused a little bit more on my inner excitement, my nerves, and handled it well with the support of another colleague of mine, and when I was back in my hometown, but the turning point was in your kitchen.
Okay. Funny place for these things to happen. Okay.
You didn't know it?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay.
But that's interesting. That's interesting. And it was belief in yourself, I think.
Yes,
and that's
yes.
really important. Yeah. There were some special features I know that you told me about that happened on the day of the exam and that were pertinent in each part of the exam as you took it. Can you say something about that and your experience on the actual day of the IELTS?
Right. So I find out some techniques which helped me a lot to pass the test. Let me separate it in the 4 sections. I think that because it's very specific. So first of all, the listening part. I skimmed through the whole booklet in the 30 seconds which were given to us before the record have been started, and so that I have a good impression of what will I expect in especially in the 3rd and 4th part of the listening section. So that was quite good. So I didn't look very specifically to the topic, but the kind of questions, and I was happy that it wasn't full of multiple choice answers. So then you have to read a lot. So when you have the choice to answer 1, 2, 3 or ABC, that was my first step. And the other one was I have a fictive person in mind. It was you, by the way. She She was standing in the back of my sitting person and put her hands on my shoulders, and I was aware that I wasn't alone. So whenever I think I will struggle by listening, you helped me by being there and was fictively saying, I'm here, you can hear everything you needed, so continue calmly, quietly, and with full of your energy. So, and it helped. I was quite confident that I answer many questions in the right way. So, and as you can see, I've passed the test with 8.5, so just 4 questions were wrong, which is an unexpected and brilliant result. Right, that was for the listening part. In the reading part, the time frame is quite heavy. So I decided beforehand, I just had 90 seconds to answer a question. If not, I will put it away and try to answer it in the very last minutes. So that was my plan. And I had a technique with scanning and skimming. So I read the whole first paragraph of every of the 3 texts and have a good impression about what the text it was. Then I switched to the questions and looked where they were in the text, so that I'm not jumping through the whole text to find the answer of the questions. And that, I would say, that took 8 minutes. And then I tried to answer a question per question, and yeah, I always watched I watched the time and was aware when 20 minutes were over, so I had to jump to the second one. So at the end, I had 6 questions left, and I answered. And 5 minutes as well. So I answered them very quickly, but I'm quite sure that is the questions where I was sometimes wrong. Because even for me, and I'm a quick reader, a fast reader, even for me the time was quite pressing, the time frame. Well, the combination of a continuing reading and jumping from question to text helped me a lot. Okay, in terms of the writing part, I developed a technique which brings me very fast to a result, to an idea how to organize and how to write my essays. So I went to the question of the essay 1, the graph, and make some notes within 5 minutes. And then I left it behind and jumped to the second essay, and just to read the title and to have a very short brainstorming about that. I would say just for 1 minute. Then I came back to the first essay and wrote it down, and I hoped, and it worked, that in between, while I'm writing the first essay, my unconsciousness will think about the ideas in terms of the second essay. Right, so when I came to the second one, I made some notes very quickly, and then I started to write the essay. Unfortunately, I ran out a bit of brilliant ideas, so I just had one simple idea per body paragraph, and I decided that it's enough. Okay, I have to live with that. I have to work with that, and I have a very strict structure in mind. So in terms of the introduction, the conclusion, and the two body paragraphs, so I knew exactly where I was with my structure, and there was no other way than to complete my simple ideas and not to think while I'm writing, or I could add some more details, or I should answer. I should answer it more brilliantly or more or smarter. So no, I left it behind and just worked with what I had, which was obviously enough. So I passed it with 7. The speaking test was always a very exciting part of the test, because you had a gap in between the first 3 sections and the last one, and the 13 tests before, I was a little bit upset about being asked very similar things, especially in part 3, about a topic. So I wished that the topic could be a little bit more considerable in terms of my own life, but it wasn't. So this time I consider my examiner as as a welcomed patient with a symptom, and every patient has a right to ask hundreds of questions about the very similar symptom. So I was happy about every question she gave me, to be given the opportunity to answer it better and better, and for her understanding. So I regard her as a welcome person, a welcome examiner. I wasn't, as I've said, I wasn't the victim. I was the doer, and I was able to create a positive atmosphere that she, the examiner, felt quite comfortable with me, and she was happy to give me some questions, and finally the time passed very, very quickly, and I was really astonished about the very early end of the speaking test, whereas beforehand I was thinking, oh, the time never ends, and I will be here for the next couple of years, which I never was, but this time it was quite entertaining, so to say, and yeah, and all my specific hints were prepared in my mind beforehand. So I was well prepared for all the side effects of the tests, of the different tests for sections. Right. Yeah, that was it.
So that's interesting, Sophia. And I liked the way you said that in the past you'd felt like a victim of the exam, and this time you were much more in control, and you were sort of driving it.
So I was aware that I'm capable to create a good style, to create a good atmosphere, to create a good listening. That was quite different, and I'm so happy to be given the opportunity to pass a test like this, because we all had so many exams in our life, and I would say in 99% we felt like a victim, and it's not necessary. Actually, it's not necessary. Yeah, and there's a hope to change it.
Yeah, it's true. And you took it as an opportunity. I think that's important, that it's an opportunity for you to demonstrate your ability rather than you feeling like a victim. So thank you for that. That was really interesting. Now, can you tell us what your reaction was when you saw the result after your exam?
I was crying with joy. So actually, I wasn't able to check the results online. It was my husband. So while I was standing around the corner, and he asked me, so you need which score in which section? And I've told him, and he said, right, 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 and right. And then he said, you've got it, baby. So, and I was crying with joy because I was so relieved, and I couldn't believe it. Then I was able to come to the screen and to the screen and checked the results, and obviously he was right. I've passed it. Yeah. So I can't describe my relief. So to know it's done. It's really done. Not hypothetically, but truly, I've passed the test successfully. Even now I remember the rock, the stone falling apart, which pressed my whole situation for such a long time, and step by step the new perspective came into the light, or stepped into the light, and now I'm on a very different level than beforehand. Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, great. And my final question, what specific advice would you give to students here listening today to help them prepare better for their IELTS exam? What are the key things that you think they should do?
I would say I should mention 3 things. First of all, never give up. Never give up. There's a chance for everybody. So, and imagine the feeling when you decide to give up. Nothing will happen. Nothing more will happen. So don't give up. Take me as an example. I've taken 14 tests over 10 years, and it is worth. Every step was worth it. So don't give up. That is the first one. The second one is try to believe in you. Trust yourself. Try to be honest with you. How your conditions are with your examiners. I think it's a big part to be able to handle it, and therefore you have to be aware of it, first of all. And thirdly, perhaps it's possible for you to focus on the challenge it is given by the IELTS test, not just to be sure that you will be disappointed again and again and again. Just try to see the positive aspects of it. It makes it easier to have good ideas, to get a better result. I mean, that is the final goal, to have the score you needed. And I think never give up, believe in you, and see it as a challenge. That could be a good thing to start with a different preparation for the IELTS test.
And also, you mentioned before getting support, and you had a really nice group on Skype.
That is one of the other aspects. Make sure that you are not alone. So without the help of you as a brilliant teacher, as well as being part of the IELTS group, Skype group, I've never would be able to come to this 3 steps. So you can't prepare on your own so successfully. You need peers and a teacher. So and a face to not an imaginary or a fictive teacher, but so such all with the online courses. You need a teacher who is aware of your weaknesses and your strengths as well, and can transport his or her opinion with you as a student. yeah, that is vital.
Okay, thank you so much, Sophia, for sharing that with us today.
I have to thank you.
It was very generous.
No, I'm so happy to be given by you the opportunity to share my my IELTS preparation thoughts and skills. Thank you.
Okay, so I hope that you'll be inspired by Sophia's story, and also that you will take on board a lot of the advice and tips that she's given to us today. If you're interested in working with me, then I can give you my details here. I'm just going to put them up there. Okay, so that's my email address. And my website, IELTS Learning Tips, there is a contact form on there, and you can fill in the little form which will come to me. And generally speaking, I meet with most prospective students on Skype so that I can find out a little bit more about you and your IELTS, and see what would be the best thing for you to do. So if you want to speak to me about that, then go ahead and make contact. Sorry, I'm just trying to get back to the... Okay, so thank you for being here today, and I hope that I will speak to some of you on Skype. And thank you again to Sophia for her very generous interview and the information that she's given us today. If you want to leave comments, please do leave comments or ask questions in the boxes below the YouTube video, and then we'll come along and answer those. And I hope that you found today useful. Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye-bye, Sophia. Bye-bye.